Chris Stevens.
Thank you, Mr Stringer. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. Can I firstly wish everyone here a happy Burns Day? In memory of Robert Burns, a man, incidentally, Mr Stringer, who argued for workers to be represented in Parliament 100 years before the formation of the Labour Party, and argued for women to be represented in the Parliament 150 years before the suffragette movement began. It's frankly an affront that the government is seeking to restrict the activities of trade unions on this day of all days. I came here.
I've listened with great interest. I've listened with great interest that every member of the side has declared being a member of a trade union, and nobody's saying it is. And I'm sure it's declared in the Register of Members' Interest. But would the honourable gentleman care to share with us what that means in practical terms for him?
Order, Mr Stringer. It's not in the House of Rules, that members have to declare the membership of a free organisation
That's right.
in a democracy, is it? Could you confirm that for me?
That is a matter for individual members, not the chair. Chris Stevens.
Member can check my register of interest, and it makes it quite clear what it means for me. And what I will say to him is that I'm a proud member of the trade union movement. I became a steward in 1996, and for 20 years before coming to this place, represented workers on a daily basis. And I have to say to you, I am not ashamed that I did that. I am not ashamed of providing welfare help for people who needed it. I am not ashamed to have represented members to make sure that they get pay. Many of them women who got equal pay. I'll give way.
I'm just asking. I know it's registered in the Register of Members' Interest. It's just interesting that it's the first time I've been in a debate where everybody has declared a certain type of interest, which is obviously obvious for the things that we are discussing. In his case, how much is it worth?
The honourable member can read the Register of Interest, and he's more than welcome to read my Register of Interest, and he will have that information. As will all honourable members of this House will be able to see by looking at my Register of Interest what that means and how much that is worth. I'll give way.
Would the honourable gentleman agree with me that one of the reasons why we've all been pleased to declare our membership of trade unions is because we are proud of it, because we are proud of the associations that we have with the trade union movement. We are entirely transparent with donations and other matters. And if the honourable gentleman opposite wants to go down a particular route, I'm sure we'd be interested to know about all the donations and declarations of interest of members on the opposite side, including the honourable gentleman.
I thank the honourable member for that intervention, because it comes as no surprise if we're discussing a piece of legislation which impacts on trade unions. People would declare that they're a member of a trade union. It comes as no surprise to me whatsoever that they would do that, and every honourable member is proud to do so. I notice that not one member in the government side is yet to declare that they are a member of a trade union, which I think is quite interesting. Mr Stringer, I have a sense of deja vu in this room as I served on the Trade Union Bill Committee, along with some on the government side. I see the member for North East Cambridgeshire in his usual place, along with the member for Cardiff South and Penarth. And I would like to quote the then Minister, who I hope is recovering well, the former Minister for Skills, who had said, as part of the discussions of this bill, that the purpose of this part of the bill was not to punish trade unions in terms of cost, and nor was it designed to trip people up. But unfortunately, Mr Stringer, that's exactly what this proposal in its current form is designed to actually do. There appears to be ignoring I think the quite reasonable submissions by trade unions in terms of the practical difficulties, some of which have been mentioned, in terms of conferences. Some of our Unison traditionally have a conference, albeit on an annual basis, by June. And it's not really good enough to say that trade unions should be preparing when they submitted to a consultation period that the government actually had, and how to put this in force. I'm afraid that the answer to that particular point really is not good enough. Mr Stringer, this is not just a Labour Party issue. This is about political funds which have funded some great campaigning work in terms of pay, on equal pay, it's on health and safety campaigns, on anti-racism campaigns, on anti-austerity campaigns, as the Honourable Member for Chester had indicated earlier. All these issues, I'll give way on that point.
The Honourable Gentleman is making a very important list of the types of campaigns that have been funded, one of which we were talking about USDOR earlier, is their campaign against violence against shop workers, which I've been very proud to join them in shops in my own constituency in Cardiff South and Penarth. Does he not agree to me these campaigns are absolutely vital?
They are absolutely vital, and the political funds help trade unions raise public awareness on these issues, and the issue of stopping violence against shop workers, I think, is a very important one that doesn't just impact on trade unions. There's a wider society around the show about that sort of campaign, and it is a welcome one. There's also the practical consideration of why are we discussing this now, Mr Stringer, when the check-off arrangement statutory instrument has still to come before us, because there is a correlation between them both. Because trade union branches will have to discuss with their employers how they then facilitate changes to subscription rates, which will have to be done as a result of this legislation. It seems to me rather foolish of the government to put forward this particular statutory instrument without having it co-joined with the check-off arrangements one as well. So it seems to me that the 1st of March 2018 date is either being deliberately set to trip up the trade unions or to make sure that they're burdened with additional costs. An irony, of course, with Mr Stringer, given that the government side are all for deregulation in every other part of the economy, it would seem, except the trade union and labour movement. So, Mr Stringer, I will be seeking as well a division, and I urge all honourable members in the House today to vote against this statutory instrument. Thank you.
Christian Martin.